Do you ever wonder why you make certain decisions, or why you believe certain things to be true? It's a simple question, but one that plunges us into the depths of our own psyche, leading us to question our motivations, our beliefs, and the reality we perceive. Every day we navigate the world around us guided by the power of a single question. This question, fueled by our inherent curiosity, shapes our actions, our decisions, and our search for truth. It is this relentless pursuit of knowledge and understanding that makes us uniquely human. Yet have you ever stopped to consider how your perspective of reality is shaped? What are the building blocks that construct the world as you perceive it? Here's another question for you to ponder. What if much of what you believe to be true is actually shaped by assumptions? Assumptions, those silent influencers, subtly weaving themselves into the fabric of our consciousness, often go unnoticed. They lurk in the background, steering our thoughts and actions, quietly dictating our perception of the world. In the realm of psychology, assumptions are considered powerful tools that our minds use to simplify the complex world around us. They fill in the gaps of our knowledge, providing a sense of certainty and stability. Yet, they are also double-edged swords, capable of distorting our perception of reality and leading us astray. When we act on assumptions, we risk stepping into a world of self-deception. It's easy to spot a lie when it comes from another, but almost impossible to recognize the untruth when it stems from our own assumptions. Yet, the power of a single question can help us uncover these hidden assumptions, helping us to challenge our beliefs and perceptions. It can lead us on a journey of self-discovery, shedding light on the truths we've been blind to. But what if the things you believe to be true are just assumptions? Let this question echo in your mind as we delve deeper into the world of assumptions, self-deception, and the pursuit of truth. Assumptions, we all make them. But what exactly are they? Picture this. You're navigating through the complex labyrinth of life, and to make sense of it all, your brain often takes shortcuts. These shortcuts, or mental leaps, are what we commonly refer to as assumptions. They are preconceived notions or beliefs, often unconsciously formed, that we use to simplify our understanding and interpretation of the world around us. Assumptions are integral to our daily lives. They help us make quick decisions, predict outcomes, and manage expectations. For instance, when you walk into a room and flip a switch, you assume the light will turn on. Or when you plan a picnic, you assume it won't rain. These assumptions, based on past experiences or patterns, help us navigate life more efficiently. But assumptions are not just about light switches and weather forecasts. They play a significant role in our interpersonal relationships as well. You might assume your friend will react in a certain way to a piece of news, or that your partner knows what you're feeling without you saying a word. However, these assumptions can sometimes be misleading, leading us down a path of misunderstanding or miscommunication. They can create a false sense of reality, where we believe something to be true without concrete evidence or validation. This can be particularly harmful when the assumptions we make are about ourselves. In the realm of psychology, assumptions are often linked to self-deception. We may convince ourselves of a particular narrative or belief, even if it's not grounded in reality. For example, you might assume you're not good at painting because you messed up a piece of artwork once. This assumption leads to self-deception, where you believe you're not artistic, even when evidence might suggest otherwise. So, While assumptions can be helpful in some contexts, they can also misguide us, creating a distorted image of reality. They can cause us to overlook facts, ignore contradictory information, and ultimately lead us into a world of self-deception. Assumptions can be dangerous. They can lead us to self-deception. Self-deception, a tricky concept, isn't it? It's like being both the magician and the audience, pulling a rabbit out of a hat and then gasping in surprise. It's a complex phenomenon that we all partake in to varying degrees. Now let's delve into the labyrinth of psychological research and theories surrounding self-deception. It's a bit of a Pandora's box, but don't worry, we're in this together. Robert Trivers, a renowned evolutionary biologist, proposed that self-deception evolved to help us deceive others better. In other words, if we can convince ourselves of a lie, we're more likely to convince someone else of it too. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Then there's Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, who believed that self-deception was a defense mechanism. He proposed that we deceive ourselves to avoid confronting painful truths or uncomfortable emotions. It's like putting on a pair of rose-tinted glasses to make the world seem a little less harsh. Now, what's the mechanism behind self-deception? Well, it's all about cognitive dissonance. This theory, proposed by Leon Festinger, suggests that we experience discomfort when we hold two conflicting beliefs. To resolve this dissonance, we may deceive ourselves into believing that the conflicting belief isn't true. It's like a mental gymnastic, twisting and turning to maintain our sense of self and our perception of reality. But why do we deceive ourselves? Well, it's a means of self-preservation. It helps us maintain our self-esteem, manage our fears, and navigate the complexities of our social interactions. It's a survival tool, crafted by evolution and honed by experience. But here's the catch. Self-deception comes with a cost. It distorts our perception of reality, leading us to make decisions based on false premises. It's like navigating a maze with a faulty map. You might reach the end, but it'll take a lot longer, and you'll probably hit a few dead ends along the way. And this is where assumptions come into play. Assumptions are like shortcuts in our cognitive processes. They help us make quick decisions without having to analyze every single detail. But, like self-deception, assumptions can distort our perception of reality. They can lead us to believe things that aren't true and make decisions based on these false beliefs. And here's the kicker: when we act on our assumptions, we're essentially lying to ourselves. We're telling ourselves a story, crafting a narrative that fits our view of the world, rather than confronting the objective truth. And the more we lie to ourselves, the more we believe these lies, and the deeper we sink into the quagmire of self-deception. Self-deception and assumptions go hand in hand, and together they can lead us astray. But don't despair, awareness is the first step towards change. So join me in the next scene as we explore the dangers of assumptions and how to break free from the shackles of self-deception. So, how can assumptions be dangerous? Let's dive in. Imagine you're at work. You haven't heard from your boss all day. Suddenly, you find yourself spiraling into a whirlpool of assumptions. Has my performance been subpar? Am I about to get fired? The seeds of uncertainty germinate into full-blown fear. But in reality, your boss was just swamped with meetings. Or picture this: you're waiting for a friend who's running late. You assume they don't value your time, causing a ripple of resentment to surge within you. yet perhaps they were caught in an unforeseen circumstance. These are everyday examples of how assumptions can lead to misunderstandings, bad decisions, and even conflict. Psychology offers a wealth of research demonstrating the negative outcomes of acting on assumptions. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people tend to overestimate their own abilities to read others. This overconfidence often leads to misinterpretations and false assumptions about others' thoughts and feelings. Assumptions can also breed unnecessary conflict. A study in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology revealed that people often assume negative intent in others, even when none exists. This hostile attribution bias can escalate minor disagreements into major confrontations. In the realm of decision-making, assumptions can be particularly hazardous. Psychologists from the University of California discovered that people often base their decisions on unverified assumptions, leading to potentially disastrous outcomes. In one experiment, participants were more likely to choose risky financial investments based on assumptions rather than factual information. So what's at the root of all this? Why do we assume in the first place? Well, our brains are wired to fill in the blanks. We crave certainty and predictability. It's a survival mechanism, harking back to our ancestors who had to make quick judgments in the wild. But in today's complex world, this mental shortcut can often lead us astray. Assumptions can also be a form of self-deception. We sometimes assume what we want to believe, ignoring the reality that contradicts our preferred narrative. This confirmation bias can keep us stuck in unhelpful patterns of thinking and behaving. Moreover, assumptions can distort our perception of reality. They act like a filter, coloring our experiences based on preconceived notions. This cognitive bias can narrow our perspective, preventing us from seeing the full picture. By assuming, we create a distorted reality, and we start living in that illusion. In essence, when we act on assumptions, we are lying to ourselves. It's like trying to navigate through a foggy landscape, guided by a faulty compass. The dangers of assumptions are manifold, spanning from personal relationships to professional decisions. They can strain our connections, cloud our judgment, and even lead to self-deception. But by being aware of these pitfalls, we can start to question our assumptions, seek clarity, and pave the way towards a more accurate understanding of the world. By assuming, we create a distorted reality, and we start living in that illusion. So, let's strive to clear the fog, recalibrate our compass, and embrace the truth, however uncomfortable it may be. Because reality, unfiltered and unassuming, is where true growth lies. If assumptions and self-deception are the villains, then self-awareness is the hero. And what an unsung hero it is. Self-awareness is the conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. It's like holding a mirror up to ourselves, seeing our own reflections, and truly understanding what we see. Now, why is self-awareness so crucial in battling against assumptions and self-deception? Well, it's because self-awareness is the antidote to these cognitive distortions. It allows us to question our assumptions, challenge our beliefs, and confront the truth about ourselves. It's the inner voice that says, hold on a second, is this really true? Or am I just telling myself a story? Psychological research underscores the importance of this self-reflective process. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals with higher self-awareness were less likely to fall into the trap of self-deception. They were more objective in their self-evaluations, more open to feedback, and more willing to change their behavior when it was not serving them well. Let's consider another example from the field of cognitive psychology. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where people with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. It's born from the inability of individuals to recognize their lack of ability. But here's the kicker. The same research found that training and education could mitigate this effect. In other words, as people became more self-aware, they became more accurate in assessing their own abilities. Self-awareness also holds the key to emotional intelligence, a concept popularized by psychologist Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express our emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. It's about understanding our emotions, why we feel the way we do, and how our emotions affect our thoughts and actions. And guess what? It all starts with self-awareness. So the benefits of self-awareness are clear. It gives us clarity, helps us make better decisions, and leads to personal growth and emotional intelligence. But how do we cultivate it? Well, it's a journey. It starts with questioning our assumptions and being honest with ourselves. It requires introspection, self-evaluation, and a willingness to accept feedback and change. But remember, self-awareness isn't about being hard on ourselves or wallowing in self-doubt. It's about understanding ourselves better so we can navigate life more effectively. So let's pick up that mirror and look into it with curiosity, openness, and acceptance. Let's question our assumptions, challenge our beliefs, and confront the truth about ourselves. Because at the end of the day, self-awareness allows us to see through our assumptions and understand our true selves. That's the power of self-awareness. And that's why it's our hero in the battle against assumptions and self-deception. Knowing the dangers of assumptions and the power of self-awareness, how can we break the cycle? Well, there are practical steps and strategies to reduce assumptions and increase self-awareness. Let's delve into some of these. Firstly, we need to acknowledge that assumptions are part of our daily lives. They are like mental shortcuts that help us navigate the world. However, when left unchecked, they can lead to self-deception and unnecessary complications. Psychologists call this the assumption bias, where we assume things based on our perceptions and experiences rather than facts. A helpful practice is to start questioning our assumptions. When we encounter a situation, instead of jumping to conclusions, we can ask ourselves, what do I know for sure? And what am I assuming? By doing this, we are not only challenging our assumptions, but also promoting self-awareness. Psychological research supports this approach. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals who regularly question their assumptions are less likely to fall into cognitive biases. This means they are more likely to make decisions based on facts rather than flawed perceptions. Another strategy is to seek feedback from others. We all have blind spots, and sometimes we need an outside perspective to illuminate them. This is where the Johari window, a psychological tool developed by psychologists Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham, comes in handy. It encourages us to seek feedback from others to increase our self-awareness and reduce our blind spots. Lastly, we should strive to cultivate a growth mindset. This concept, introduced by psychologist Carol Dweck, encourages us to view challenges as opportunities for learning rather than failures. When we have a growth mindset, we are more open to new perspectives and less likely to make assumptions. Breaking the cycle of assumptions is not an overnight process. It requires consistent effort and practice. However, the benefits are worth it. By reducing our assumptions, we can enhance our relationships, make better decisions, and ultimately lead a more fulfilling life. In the words of renowned psychologist Carl Rogers, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Acceptance here does not mean complacency, but rather a willingness to confront our assumptions and biases. So how can we break the cycle of assumptions? It starts with questioning, seeking feedback, cultivating a growth mindset, and above all, practicing self-awareness. Remember, our perceptions are not always reality. They're often colored by our experiences, beliefs, and biases. Change starts with awareness, and awareness starts with questioning. So the next time you find yourself making an assumption, take a moment to pause, reflect, and question. It's the first step towards breaking the cycle and embracing a more self-aware and authentic life. In a world full of assumptions, dare to seek the truth. If there's one thing we've learned today, it's that assumptions can be a dangerous game. We've seen how they can lead us astray, clouding our judgment and causing us to make decisions based on falsehoods. They're a form of self-deception, a way for us to avoid facing the reality of our situations. The danger lies not only in the potential for misguided actions, but also in the erosion of our self-awareness. The more we rely on assumptions, the less we know about ourselves and the world around us. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can break the cycle. It takes effort, yes, but the rewards are worth it. By questioning our beliefs and assumptions, we can start to see the world as it really is, not as we assume it to be. This is the power of a question. It prompts us to seek the truth, to challenge our perceptions, and to grow as individuals. The importance of self-awareness can't be overstated. It's a vital part of our psychological well-being. When we're self-aware, we understand our motivations, our strengths, our weaknesses. We're better able to navigate the complexities of life and to make decisions that align with our true selves. Assumptions, on the other hand, stand in the way of this self-awareness. They are a barrier, a wall we construct to protect ourselves from the unknown. But the unknown isn't something to be feared. It's something to be explored, to be understood. So, as we move forward, let's challenge ourselves to question more, to assume less. Let's strive for understanding, for truth, for self-awareness. It won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. For it's in the pursuit of truth that we find ourselves. Remember, the truth lies within you, not in your assumptions. Before we part ways, I would like to leave you with a final thought. In the vast and complex realm of human psychology, one of the most fascinating aspects is how we often become our own greatest deceivers. We construct narratives based on assumptions, feeding into our own self-deception. But the reality is, every assumption is a potential pitfall, a snare that can trap us in the confines of our own misconceptions. The journey towards self-awareness is a continuous one, an ever-evolving process of introspection and growth. It requires us to constantly question our beliefs, our assumptions, our perceptions. The more we question, the more we learn about ourselves and the world around us. This isn't to say that it's an easy journey, far from it. It's a path laden with challenges, with moments of discomfort and self-doubt. But it is through these trials that we truly grow, that we truly learn to understand ourselves and others. Consider this. Every time you catch yourself making an assumption, take a moment. Pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, is this assumption based on facts, or is it a product of my own biases? Challenge yourself to seek the truth, to dig deeper, to question more. Each of us has a unique perspective, shaped by our experiences, our beliefs, our values. But it's important to remember that our perspective isn't the only one. There are countless other perspectives out there, each with its own set of truths and assumptions. By questioning our own assumptions, we open ourselves up to these other perspectives, to a broader understanding of the world. And it's not just about understanding others. It's about understanding ourselves, about uncovering the layers of our own psyche. It's about unlearning the lies we've told ourselves, about breaking free from the chains of our own assumptions. Growth isn't about reaching a final destination. It's about the journey, about the constant process of learning and unlearning, of questioning and understanding. It's about embracing the discomfort of not knowing, of admitting our own ignorance and striving to learn more. So, as we wrap up today's discussion, I encourage you to embark on this journey towards self-awareness, to question your assumptions, to challenge your beliefs, to strive for understanding, to embrace the discomfort of growth and the joy of discovery. Remember, every question you ask is a step towards understanding. Every assumption you challenge is a step towards growth, and every moment of self-reflection is a step towards self-awareness. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep growing. Until next time.